Venezuela's outside leader, Nicolás Maduro, says he's still president as he pleads not guilty to drug trafficking and other charges in his first appearance at the New York court. He and his wife, Celia Flores, were seized from their Cacares compound on Saturday and flown to the U.S. as part of a special forces operation. Here's what happened at today's hearing. It ended with a tense exchange between a member of the public and Maduro, who said he was a prisoner of war. A reporter in court says outside, protesters have been gathering with some brandishing placards. One reads, U.S. hands off Venezuela, while another says, thank you, President Trump. Earlier, dramatic images showed the pair being transferred to the courthouse in handcuffs, surrounded by armed officers. Meanwhile, Delcy Rodriguez, while being sworn in as Venezuela's interim president, has praised Maduro and his wife as heroes. Let's talk to a partner and international affairs analyst, a Gainful Solution in Washington, D.C., Stephen Hayes, who joins us live on TVC News at 10. Thank you for joining us on the news tonight. Let's begin with your assessment of the legality of U.S. actions under international law as it relates to Maduro.
Well, I think that's going to be the big question. I think the general international opinion is that it wasn't legal, but there is precedent for it, particularly the United States having taken President Noriega from Panama some years ago. The issue is, of course, that Maduro is a wanted fugitive in the eyes of U.S. law now, and so it's a matter of taking him. Is it legal? I think we'll leave that to international experts.
There are conversations around U.S. strategic intentions beyond drug charges. We've heard President Trump publicly say the U.S. is in charge now, in charge of Venezuela. He's also hinted at further strikes if governments don't cooperate. To what extent are U.S. actions driven by anti-narcotics goals versus strategic intent like access to the oil resources and regional power dynamics?
Well, I think the U.S., and particularly President Trump, if it's possible to embarrass him at all, is in a poor position, particularly because of Trump's own statements. To say that we're running Venezuela is, I think, at best an exaggeration. It's you just simply can't do that. The structure that Maduro left in place, unwillingly, obviously, but left in place is still in place. So how is that going to change anything? How is that going to allow the U.S. to run it? I think the people of Venezuela, regardless of whether they like Maduro or not, have some concerns about a foreign power coming in to run their country. This differs. This may be Trump's thinking, but it differs, I think, from even his own cabinet members, like the Secretary of State Rubio. I think it's going to be. I think there's going to be a big mess coming up. Frankly, I think there's just a lot of questions still there that's not resolved, and certainly it wasn't about drugs. The structure, the group that's supporting the drugs, which is supposed drug running, is supposedly in place, part of the government. None of it has been thrown out. So the structure and support for our drug running and international drugs is still in place. So we really haven't done anything about that. And I think the point is, as I think President Trump made it very clear in his initial press conference, oil is a big factor in this. He must have mentioned it at least 20 or 30 times during his press conference. So I think that is going to be seen as, again, at best, unseemly around the world. And I think that's really, I think most people think that's what's the core of this, is the access and the control of Venezuelan oil. It is true that U.S. companies had their property agreements taken away by the Venezuelan government some years ago. Those contracts haven't been honored, but it's not true that the oil is owned per se. Venezuelan oil is owned by foreign companies.
Absolutely. But let's talk about the implication of this, both at the region and international level. The U.S. operation, as we know, it has provoked strong reactions from Latin American governments. You've heard what Brazil and China had to say, strong condemnations of the intervention. They call it a breach of sovereignty. What are the likely diplomatic and security consequences for U.S.-Latin America relations and even broader global alignment?
Well, in regard to Latin America, I think it's important to note that on one hand, you do have Maduro, who is in all likelihood an international criminal, out. The military operation was amazingly precise, so that's going to. I mention this because, in regard to your question, that's going to also send a very strong signal to other countries. And it's not entirely accurate to say all of Latin America, not that you did, but all of Latin America is opposed to this. Argentina and Ecuador have come out with statements in support already. But I think the implications are very damaging to the United States in the long term, and perhaps even in the medium range as well. It does say that we are not committed to democracy, as we have said all along. We've left an illegitimate government in place. We've not supported any democratic change at all, which was freely elected. I think it makes us look very greedy, frankly, and I think that's great, and it hurts. It has hurt the image of the United States internationally. Whether we can come back from that, almost anybody can come back from such things in the longer term, but at least in the short term and medium range, I think it hurts the United States quite a bit.
Well, with Delcy Rodriguez now sworn in as interim president amid a state of emergency and calls to arrest those who supported the U.S. attack, I guess time will tell about how stable the current Venezuelan government is. Good place to live is Stephen Hayes, his partner, Gameful Solution, Washington, D.C. Thank you so much for talking to us.